Hi Flosstube, my name is Brenda. I've been watching Flosstube for over a year and have just enjoyed it so much. It's what I do when I stitch. It's better than TV. I feel like you're all friends, but I realize that, and then you have to remind yourself that you've never met these people, but it really is like having some stitching friend come to your home and you show them what you're working on and they show you what you're working on, they're working on, and I just love that we can share that way with other people who love it as much as we do. I live in Pleasant Grove, Utah. I'm married. My husband and I both work full-time. I'm the administrative secretary down at the local junior high, just a couple blocks away, so the commute's fabulous. I have 4 children who are grown and gone, 2 daughters and 2 sons, and I have 4 grandchildren ranging in age from 5 down to 2 months. Both my daughters stitch. It's just been wonderful that we can share that hobby. My oldest daughter, Catherine, is just on the bottom partial row of a Haid, of a James Christensen's Fairy Tales Haid. It's just amazing. I'll have her as a guest on the show and show you her progress, and especially when she finishes. And my other daughter, Marie, has been working on some really cute Halloween pieces. I'll have her on as a guest too and show you what she's been working on one of my other videos. My Instagram name is Handwork Maniac. My YouTube channel is Handwork Maniac as well. My local LNS is, well, that was redundant, wasn't it? Is in Salt Lake City. It's called the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery. It's a fabulous store. They do framing as well. They're about 40 minutes from my house. I can drive up there. And then Shepherd's Bush is in Ogden. That's a little over an hour away north of me. And then 123 Stitch Warehouse is just point of the mountain, so maybe 20 minutes from here. When I order from 123 Stitch, I can choose the option that I want to pick it up myself, and you can't pick it up that day. You have to wait until the next day to pick it up. And it's not a store, it's just a warehouse. You can walk into their front office and pick up something you ordered if you indicated you wanted to do that. But even when I order and have it mailed to my house, I have actually had it show up the next day before. It usually is 2 days or 3 days, so that's awfully tempting to order from them, knowing I'm going to have it in 2 or 3 days. I love having them so close by. I love my fabric. Just a little bit about how I stitch. I love my fabric in a lap frame. I use the Artisan Designs lap frame. It holds... I do some projects in Q-snaps, I do some projects on scroll rods, I do some projects, even some on stretcher bars. If it's a really tiny ornament, I'll do it in a hoop in hand because I still like to have it taut. I don't do it just in hand very well. This frame will hold all of those. If I have the right adapter on it, it will hold everything that I want to do. I stitch with leaning back with my feet up, and this is great because it tilts. I can tilt it towards me as I'm leaning back and stitch. Or if I'm at a class or a retreat and I need to sit it on the table in front of me, I can also do that as well. And it also extends if I have really long scroll rods so that it's balanced, and then I'll put like a Beanie Baby or a little stuffed animal or a little, I have a little pillow full of shot that makes it really heavy so that it will sit on your lap when you have it extended clear out so it doesn't tip off. But I love this. Made by Artisan Designs, my favorite frame ever. I use a floor frame occasionally. I do have a floor frame made by the same people when I have a really large design that is just too awkward in my lap. But for the most part, I sit with my feet up watching YouTube or TV, stitching like that. Let's go to the whips that I've worked on for the last few weeks. I'm going to try doing an update once a week, but since this is my first one, I'll show you what I've been working on for the last few weeks. It's getting that time of year where you sit down and think, what would I like to have finished by the end of the year? So a couple of things I've been working on, hoping I could finish. One is Quaker Diamonds by Rosewood Manor. This has been a whip for several years that I've been working on it. All of the color changes make it feel like it goes slow. It should be done by now. Sorry, it's on Q snap, so I have to take it off. This is what I have done so far. I'm close to the end. That bottom medallion that's just started is the bottom. That will be the bottom there. So I think it's totally doable by the end of the year. My daughter Catherine, for Mother's Day every year, picks a couple projects that I'm just sick to death of, and she works on them for a while to kind of give them a jump start and get me more. And she has worked on this one for me before. I believe she did this whole huge medallion right here for me just to get this one back and up. It's probably, gosh, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a good 6 or 8 years old. So I worked on that. I finished all of these little letters down here and then started on that big medallion there. Another one that I want to finish by the end of the year is a Paula Vaughn that I started, oh gosh, another good 6 or 8 years ago, which is why it needs to be done. It's in this book, Paula Vaughn's Quilts for All Seasons, and I'm doing the September one that looks like this when it will be done. My daughter was given this book, my daughter Catherine, and she really wanted to stitch all of them and actually make it into a quilt. So I told her that I would do one for her. So I've been working on September. It's close to a finish as well. I've done all of the back stitching already on this section. I just have a partial page over here that still needs to be done. You can see that I started on the bottom of it down here. But I think this is totally doable to have this done by the end of the year. So that will be great to have that done. It's done on, I don't usually work on Aida, but this is on a really stiff Aida, so it was driving me nuts in the Q-snaps. So I put it on stretcher bars with thumbtacks just because it was easier for me to work on that way. So that one is the one Quaker Diamonds is Tuesdays, that one is Thursdays. I'm working on Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. That's this one by Carriage House Samplings when it will be done. I did not use the called for fabric. Oh gosh, what's the name of the fabric? It's a hand-dyed. This is where I am so far. It's a green color because I really wanted to have a green that would make the red really pop out. The problem I've had is that the white, it's a little too light, so the white, everything that's white doesn't pop like it does on the called for fabric. And that's the one thing I'm not happy about this fabric is the white kind of gets lost on it. I might have to do some back stitching around those sails on that ship so that you can see them. The wonderful lace work on this block up here is really hard to see. But otherwise, I love how it's turned out on this fabric. I will look up what the fabric name is and put it in the description box. But this month, I was able to finish half of this middle block. And then by the end of November, I like to have the other half finished. And then I'd like to do a block a month so that this is done by April of next year. This is my fourth Hawk Run Hollow piece. I pulled out the other three so I could show you since they're not framed yet. They're easy to show. The very first one I did was Houses of Hawk Run Hollow. I'll scoot back so you can see the whole thing. I was, oh gosh, 10 or 12 15 years ago maybe I started this, and I was too poor for the silks, so I switched it to, it called for a Verssois, and NPI Silks were a little bit cheaper, so I decided to do NPI Silks instead, and the chart has a conversion on it, but there were several blocks that the conversion colors, and I just bought enough silks for the first block, and then I'd buy enough silks for the next block. as I was eking my money out a little bit at a time. I didn't work then, so I didn't have as much money as I have now to spend on my hobby. This block here, those blue hills underneath, the shading on that blue I was just not happy with, so I actually went and bought the Aversois colors to do the blue shading. And then after that, anytime it called for those blues, I used the Aversois because I loved those so much. But otherwise, these are the NPI conversion for this. It's on 40 count linen. I will see if I can find the name of the fabric and put it in the description below. I forgot to look all that up before. You know, because making your very first video is kind of stressful. I've also done the village at Hawkrun Hollow. Goodness, it wants to fold right there. And this one I did the called for, I believe this one called for NPI Silks, and I did the called for silks because I had had such a bad experience with the colors not looking the way I wanted, like the model did. So after that, I decided I was always going to use the called for silks. It was a really fun one to do. I did a block every 2 months, kind of as a stitch along with some other friends I have that stitch in Salt Lake. And then I have also done Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow. And this one is done on even weave. It looks like mushroom maybe, mushroom Lagana. I did this as part of a stitch along I used to belong to the Swan Sampler Guild in Salt Lake City, which is now disbanded, but we had a lot of fun activities with them. And I led a stitch along for this. And we were doing a block a month, I think. And our challenge was to do a different stitch in each block besides just the normal cross stitch that it's called for. So in each block, I found somewhere that I could do a different specialty stitch. Like in this one, I did these bricks in a diagonal stitch, diagonal satin. I'm sure there's a right name for that. In this one, I did these wheat stalks as chain stitches to make them look more like wheat. There was just something I picked in the roofs. I almost did all of them in diagonal satin because it goes so faster. I think these apples are, oh no, I was going to do Smyrna crosses, but I didn't. I don't know what I did on that block. I can't see it right off. But we had a lot of fun on this stitch along. These apples are Smyrna. It was fun to look at each block and try and figure out what I could do on it that would be a specialty stitch instead of just plain cross stitch. And this is DMC. This is the DMC conversion for this chart. There were several times when I had to stop and pull something out because I wasn't happy with the DMC color and pick something else because it just looked horrible to the color next to it, or it didn't blend right. It didn't shade right is what I'm trying to say. Here's the, I don't even know if you can see the whole thing. This is a long and skinny one. All right, so that's the Shores report, not Shores, Hawkrun Hollow report. All right. I also worked on kind of my October piece because I love to do something that's, you know, feels like the season right now. I love to have something that's the season stitching. So I've been working on Last Stitch Cemetery by Hinzeit. Not sure how to say that. Last Stitch Cemetery. And it is close to finish as well. It'll be definitely finished by the end of October. Might be finished this week. But here's that. Just have this last tomb to go, and then the rest of the lettering and the big L that's on the side there. But that one's been a lot of fun. And I apologize, I do not know what fabric this is. It's a linen and it's dyed. It's got a lot of purple and red in it and gray. It's kind of a gray purple that looks like maybe someone spilled some purpley red Kool-Aid on it in places. It's just beautiful, perfect for a cemetery. I had this in my stash for a long time, all kitted up. And this piece of fabric was just folded up inside the bag, and I don't know how long I've had it or where I got it. I apologize. I know that's frustrating when someone shows you this piece of fabric and can't tell you what it is. It's frustrating for me, especially when I want it to look just the same as what they have. I participated in Mania this last year for the first time. That was, whenever I first heard about that, I just thought that's crazy. That's nuts. But it sounded so fun, and I needed a kind of a pick-me-up in May, so I participated in that. And the Stitch Cemetery is one of my Mania projects, so that will be a finish, thank goodness. Quaker Diamonds is one of my Mania projects, and so is Paula Vaughn Quilts, so I'm happy to, hopefully those will still, I'm going to do the Blimey Cat method that she does, where if you do not finish it the next year, that stays as the same Mania project for that day of Mania. I did 18 days, so I'm thinking I'll probably have I think I'll only have 3 projects that will carry over into Stitch Mania 19, because I'm definitely participating in 2019. But I chose a lot of tiny ornaments as well that I knew I would be able to finish in the year, because I didn't want to stresses me out to have a bunch of, just keep adding every year a whole bunch more. I decided to do the LHN Hometown Holiday. This is Sweet Shop. This is the tree lot. And I did the Fun Everyday calendar. I'll bring that home from work one day and show that to you. It's a perpetual calendar on perforated paper glued to pieces of cardstock. And I really missed that, because you can take that with you anywhere. It's such a portable project. You can take it to the doctor's office. You can take it to a boring meeting. So I'm trying doing these on perforated paper, and then I think I will glue them to cardstock and make it into an ornament that way. The tree lot is on perforated paper that kind of has a light blue cloud background to it, but you can't hardly see those blue clouds. And I wasn't happy with how the white snow just didn't show up on there. I was hoping it would be a little more blue so you'd be able to see the white snow, but I'm not going to redo it, but I won't do another one on this color just because the white disappeared, but that was a really fun one. I liked that one. And then this is Sweet Shop. It's almost done. I'll probably work on that today and finish it. The house was brown, and since I decided to do it on brown perforated paper, I had to change the color of the house to yellow. So anything that was that color brown is now yellow in this piece, but otherwise it's the called for threads. And I believe this was the called for threads as well. I might have had to substitute a couple that were just little tiny bits that I knew wouldn't matter, so I just pulled some DMC. But I'm happy that those are almost done. I think that's all of what I worked on the last couple of weeks. I wanted to show you one of my most recent huge finishes was a chatelaine. This is a medieval town mandala, and it was a lot of fun. But I probably started it 12 or 14 years ago. I can't remember. I started it when it was a mystery. When it very first came out, it wasn't a mystery. You could buy the whole thing at once. It wasn't like you didn't know what you were stitching, but then she sent you part of it every month. And that was a while ago. My sister-in-law and I started on it together, and it's taken just forever. This is another one that my daughter Catherine worked on for me I think a couple years in a row to help jumpstart and help me get going on it again. It's on these huge Q-snaps still, because that's what I used to bead. I did the beading last and did that. I don't know if you can see all of those fabulous specialty beads, some Swarovski crystals on there. Lots of beads. I love how this house repeats, this building repeats all the way around. It's the same. And these right here repeat all the way around. But the rest of these, like this matches this side, but this village is different from this village and this village and this village. They're each a different style or a different city that would have been around in the medieval times, I guess. Different countries. And that was fun. That is my third chatelaine that I have finished. And I think that's all I started was 3. Not sure if I'll do another one again. I have a really hard time because it repeats all the way. A lot of it is a repeat all the way around. You have to do it 4 different times. And I have a really hard time stitching the same thing twice. Alpine Seasons is framed, so I thought I'd show you that one. Oh, it's huge. See if you can see it without the glare, sorry. And that was I started that one before Medieval Town Mandala. I've also done Evening in the Park. That's the other one that I've done. But this one was fun because the trees are a different season. That outside edge is a different season all the way around. And it also has a ton of beading and some over 1 sections. Most of her mandalas have an over 1 sections. Blitz Stitch, in one of his end of the year reviews, mentioned that he was wondering if he wanted to do a chatelaine or not, and because of all the specialty stitches. And I enjoy specialty stitches as long as they're not too hard. Spiral trellis, I don't know if I will ever want to do spiral trellis, but most of the other specialty stitches, if they're not too complicated, I don't mind doing. They're kind of fun, but I do have to do it during the day, like on a Saturday, or if I'm off work in the summer. I have 6 weeks off in the summer because I have to think so hard. It's not the same as that rhythmic, just sitting down at night and stitching. That is so relaxing to me on something like a Hawk Run Hollow, where it's just straight cross stitch and you're just stitching and moving along. That's a different feel than having to think about specialty stitches and complicated stuff. I have to do that during the day. I enjoy it. I just have to do it when I have more brain power and can think about it. I keep a magnet board of all my this is all my whips. I keep track of my whips on a magnet board. This is just the roll magnet that you can buy and cut in strips, or you can get the size that's like a business card, and you can cut that. I've cut that in strips before, or these little round ones. I don't know if you can tell, but the stuff that is colored light blue is Mania, so I can keep track of what my Mania starts are. And the size of the magnet kind of corresponds to how big the piece is. So if it's a huge magnet, it's a huge piece. It's going to take a long time. If it's a tiny itty bitty magnet, then it's a little ornament on perforated paper. That's not going to take very long. So the little round ones, these down here are everything that's been finished. I reuse the magnets, so I just turn them upside down. Sometimes I cross them out and put them at the bottom, or my extra magnets. These 4 right here are in what my sister-in-law calls craft prison. These, I don't know that we'll ever come out of craft prison. I'm not ready to throw them away yet or give them to someone, because I might feel like working on them again someday, but right now they're in craft prison and they're probably going to stay there. It's Victorian Christmas. It's almost done by Victoria Sampler, I think is her name. Blitz Stitch talked about that. It has the tree at the top, the Christmas tree. It is so close to done. The part that's left is down at the bottom where it's a lot of pulled thread work, and that's the part that I'm not sure that I want to do. Maybe I'll adapt it and finish it without doing the pulled thread work, because it's close. I mean, the hard part, the tree and everything at the top is done. I'm halfway down those little strips. This was a basic sewing kit I was working on for EGA. We were trying my local EGA chapter was trying a different, oh gosh, like 10 years ago. So I don't know that I will finish that. We were trying a different technique every month for each piece that went in the basic sewing kit, like a needle book and a scissor fob and all the different things that you would have in a basic sewing kit. Signs of Spring by Diane Clements. That was a class I took from her. I think it was a class exclusive piece. Has some really hard specialty stitches in it and a reticello section at the bottom. We did a test reticello section as in the class that wasn't on the actual piece of fabric. It was just a separate practice piece. And then if you wanted to afterwards, you could make it into a needle book or something. And I finished that, but the thoughts of doing that same thing again at the bottom of the piece, I can't I just can't do it. So I don't know that I should finish the piece, except that it's already, you have to cut the square out for reticello work, and then you weave the sections in that make reticello work. And so I've already cut that square out and already done the stitching all the way around it. So I can't just end the piece and not do that section. Now I have this big hole at the bottom. So I'm not sure what I'll do with that, but it's stuck in Craft Prison for right now. And then this one, Peter Pumpkin Eater, is a Haid that I started a long time ago and got a page done, I think, page and a half. But I found a different Haid that I just love. I can only have one Haid because I don't know that I will ever finish it in my lifetime. A Stitcher Shelf. I just love the colors in that so much. So Peter Pumpkin Eater, I don't know. My daughter Catherine might inherit it. Maybe one day she'll finish it. I don't know. But if I'm going to do a Haid, I'm going to do a Stitcher Shelf. And then I also have a Disneyland piece that I got off Etsy that's an adaptation of an old Disneyland retro poster that's full coverage like that I'm working on. It's not quite as big. I'll actually finish that. So that's why those are in Craft Prison. Everything else I move around, like this is what I want to work on this month, or this is what I want to finish by the end of the year. I color code them if they're in Mania, that kind of thing. These blue ones are all tiny ornaments that are part of Mania. But that's how I keep track of my whips. All right. Haul, I should say. The last two things I bought were these two Soda Stitch. These are Soda Stitch patterns. I got them off of Amazon. They come from Korea. I just love their bright colors that Soda Stitch uses. This cute little dollhouse looking thing is so darling. That's probably going to be one of my Mania starts next year. And then this one is Soda Stitch as well. Oh, sorry. This one's called Petite House. And this one's called Sky Blue Street. And Amazon is one of their resellers, so it's easy to order through Amazon. They don't come really fast because I think they're actually coming from Korea, but I know you can get them in other Etsy, other sellers. But this one's a Village Sky Blue Street, and I just love that. Maybe I'll have 2 Soda Stitches in my Mania starts next year. I don't know. And then I think there should be a section on every video called What I Wish I Was Stitching. You know, when you see that pattern and you're just like, I want to stitch that right now. But you don't, because you have some other things that you want to finish, or you have some other priorities, or you're going to save it for later. So what I wish I was stitching on right now is this, called Elegant Pumpkins, because it's October and it's just calling to me right now. You know, this is in the Halloween issue of Just Cross Stitch from October of 2011. And that's where I found this. But I think for Stitch Mania next year, I'm going to choose a piece for each season, maybe each month, and whatever season is around there. That's not too big, maybe like 100 stitches by 100 stitches, 150, something I could accomplish in a month, so I could have that seasonal stitch that's not huge. It's not going to add to my whips forever. But that is what I wish I was stitching right now. All right. I wanted to shout out, I love Vaughn the Twisted Stitcher. I was actually at a retreat with her in Indiana, ages ago. It was probably like 2011 or 2008, and she was so fun. We stayed up late stitching and laughed so hard. Oh, she's fun to be around. She taught us it was an Only One You retreat put on by Jan at Tree of Life Samplings, and she taught a class on how to put something on top of a box. And Jan had given us this pattern to pre-stitch before we got there. And then Vaughn taught us how to attach it to the top of the cigar box. And then she also taught us how to put the fabric in the bottom. Sorry, it's full of things. I didn't realize it was full of things. She taught us how to put the fabric in the bottom of the box. So Vaughn, I just wanted to say hi, Vaughn the Twisted Stitcher. When I started watching YouTube and actually knew 2 people on YouTube, I was so amazed. I'm like, I know her. I've met her. I'm sure Vaughn has met millions and millions of people with all the retreats she goes to, but it's sure fun to watch her videos and feel like it's someone I know. The other one I know is Vaughn of Night Owl. Sorry, my camera stopped recording. The other person I know is Vaughn of Night Owl Stitcher. We have stitched somewhere at a retreat together, but I don't know which one. I don't know if it was, I don't know. Maybe she'll remember. But that was fun to see her and go, oh, I know her, I've met her. Like I said, I enjoy Blitz Stitch, I enjoy Ginger Gerald. There's so many. I'll have to start keeping track of all the ones that I watch. Thanks so much for watching my first video, and I hope to see you again. Bye.